The US markets posted yet another day of decline yesterday, even as it may be headed for a second straight week of weekly gains. What are you picking up, Shreyanshi?
Well, absolutely. That just about sums it up, right, Kanishka? That's the kind of move that we've seen coming in yet again when it comes to the US markets. A slight bit fall coming in as far as the Dow Jones is concerned in terms of the futures and S&P 500 futures as well. Of course, you did have the Dow falling about 155 points, there about a 0.4%. In terms of the regular day trading session as well, S&P 500 slid 0.3% as well. While you did also have the Nasdaq Composite, that's the one that dropped 0.5% as well. Now you do have President Donald Trump announcing those 25% tariff when it comes to all cars that are not made in the United States. So that is the development that was still sort of being digested when it comes to the market. Of course, on the economic front, you do have February's personal consumption expenditures price index. That is something that we're watching out for. And Wall Street, of course, like you mentioned, is headed for a second straight week of gains. Dow is on track for an 0.8% advance on a week-to-date basis. Other than that, you have S&P 500 0.5% uptick on a weekly basis coming in for that one as well at this point, and Nasdaq Composite, of course, on pace for a slight bit of a 0.1% gain there. So that's largely the kind of picture that we have emerging as far as US markets are concerned. So it's been a decent week, a resilient week rather, when you take a look at the last couple of days coming in for the Wall Street at this point, but largely that's the kind of handover that we have.
That is correct. It's now time for a quick crude check. Well, oil has approached its 1 month high as investors assess supply and trade war risks. Now, price edged higher yesterday as traders assessed a tightening of crude supplies along with new US tariffs and their expected effect on the world's economy. Now, Brent crude futures gained 0.3% to settle at $74 a barrel, and the US WTI crude futures rose to nearly $70 a barrel. Now, this was after oil prices rose about 1% to their highest since February yesterday. Now, remember, market participants are weighing escalating trade war risks as well, as President Trump has unveiled his plan to implement US tariffs, that is 25% tariffs on imported cars and light trucks effective next week, while those on auto parts begin on May 3rd. Now, according to analysts, the biggest headwind for oil right now are the concerns about tariffs and that tariffs might slow demand. Now, this is after new 25% tariffs imposed earlier this week on potential buyers of Venezuelan crude as well. Now, moving on, the yellow metal keeps shining bright. Gold hit its record high as US tariff sparked trade tensions. Now, the spot gold climbed more than 1% to $3,052 an ounce after hitting an all-time high of $3,059. Now, the bullion has hit 17 record highs this year. US gold futures climbed 1.5% to $3,066, which is also hitting an all-time high of $3,070 earlier this session. Now, these peaks come as gold as investors sought safe haven set in response to escalating global trade tensions and tumbling equity markets following President Trump's announcement of new auto tariffs. Remember, gold is traditionally seen as a hedge against economic and political uncertainty and often thrives in a low interest rate environment. Also, Goldman Sachs has raised its end 2025 gold price forecast to $3,300 per ounce from $3,100 earlier, citing stronger than expected ETF inflows and sustained central bank demand.
Absolutely, it's been a year.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.